Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh to some of you and peace out to the rest of you. Hit the share button because the message is more important than the messenger. What I would like to tell you all is that, first off, we made a mistake when it came down to how we were to react to an interloper that had to leave Chicago and move to London. I don't think that the harsh opinions against her were wrong. I think that the name dropping, forget calling, but just the name dropping was wrong. I think that once it came out, once the interview came out, we should have just simply said, oh, okay. Well, there was nothing more to expect from her. And for the most part, I'm beginning to think that this was a strategic move on her part to have King and MTR to come out to her. And that's largely because MTR was not focused on vetting, which he said. And well, I mean, King is a chameleon anyway. So she would have trusted this interloper more. And I believe that this interloper meant all of this. That this interloper meant for the interview, the unpopular interview, to finally go public right after the one with King. Because remember, we all saw the interview with, or her paneler live stream with MTR and Melanie King. But she had already done the interview with the self-called white supremacist. But then she lets the more recent one come out and go public before the less recent one went public. That tells us something right there. Strategy. A lot of thinking going on, which, I mean, from a logical standpoint, does make sense. But there's also something else to it. As I stated, we made the mistake of being willing to even say the name and have these arguments and these debates because it made money. I'm sure it made money for her. It increased her AdSense. And instead of her being canceled, like what happens with us, then she gets to laugh all the way to the bank. I don't think she cares much about so-called effects. She's looking and saying, my name's out there, I'm being discussed. My videos are being played more. And I'm getting the ad revenue. And what would have really grinded her gears would have been if we would have all been dismissive as a race, not just because the black manosphere largely was dismissive. Chew the meat, spit out the bones. In this case, it was more like pick off little bits of meat and eat it. We largely were, but if black YouTube had been more dismissive, we would not have had these arguments. That would have made her money. Now, fast forward, and the debate is about David Carroll. And I don't know what David Carroll was really trying to do. I haven't even looked at the videos and the claims and any screenshots. And that's the whole point. I'm probably going to see it eventually. I don't mind if someone posts a link and shows me. But before that happens, I want to state this. The right thing for us to do is to understand from the beginning that no matter what, if the message is correct, it continues. If the message is correct, then it doesn't change simply because of something wrong that someone who touted the message did. If it is correct, it is correct when an interloper from Chicago living in London agrees and disagrees. If the message is correct, then it is correct whether David Carroll roasted a woman and then tried to slide in the DMs, or he did not. So before we get into another debate, an argument, we need to make sure that we do not lose sight of what is important. And what is important is that the message is correct. And in order for that to be the case, we have to make sure not to put false narratives into the message. And this is part of why it is that I don't sit up and give women the excuse of being incapable of being better, black, white, or otherwise. If they couldn't, Allah would not have given them the ability to reproduce with us when we are forced to be accountable and wise and think through our actions and moral, and you get the idea. That's it. If, in fact, he slid in her DMs and he tried to hit that. If, in fact, he did not, and it's a lie. First, remember that if the message is correct, it's correct. And if the message is about the behavior of someone that has taken us as an enemy, then the truth of that message and the correctness of that message depends on the behavior of that enemy. Until the time that that enemy decides to not misbehave anymore, even if the laws allow them to, the message remains correct. The message can be about changing the laws. It can be about changing the culture. It can be about changing both. The impetus and the driving force of the message is that when these behaviors, these misbehaviors are allowed, they occur. And in the cases where the courts don't allow these misbehaviors, they will resort to violence in order to get the same results that their friend at the hair salon got. Girl, I stayed with him for 10 years, and then I was eligible for alimony, and I got it. High fives, hand slaps, and in the event that one of these women does the same thing and can't get the same result for whatever reason, they're going to say that chick at the hair salon got this, and I'm going to get it or I'm going to kill him. That's what they're saying. God forbid that you do win, to them, not to me, but to them. God forbid that you do win some aspect of your divorce case or custody case under circumstances in which someone else she knows did not lose, but she lost. She will flip the uckfout and resort to bullets and gunpowder or cars or anything else that can be a weapon. She will do that. And why will she do it? She will do it because she can. She will do it because she cannot tolerate not getting what other women got, because they're in a competition, and it is much worse and much more intense than the competition that men had in the 90s to get as much trim as possible in exchange for as little romance as possible. That was the difference. Their competition is far more intense. Because, see, the truth is that if you look at how guys, even teenage guys, did not really judge a man's self-worth completely by his success with women. If you look at how the level past which they would not go in judging a guy's lack of worth, like objective worth and value as a human being, based on that, you'll see that there, even teenage black boys with the stereotypes and everything else, did not go past a certain point. I know because I lived that. These ladies are actually doing it differently. Part of these women's self-esteem depends upon them getting over on some dude and taking advantage of some guy. And in the event that they can't do something that they've heard another woman, and this goes past high school with them, it goes into adulthood, it goes into graduate school with them, when they find that they cannot take advantage of a guy the same way that they heard some woman bragging about at the hair salon, they flip out. How dare this guy put his foot down? even though she was not going to respect him if he didn't. How dare he put his foot down? The thing is that what some of these dating coaches don't want to tell you, gentlemen, is that women look at some of you and they peg you as the guy that they're not going to respect. They look at some of you and they say, I'm not going to respect him because I'm not in the mood to respect anybody. I'm not here to respect anybody. I am only here actually to get over. Just like when there's some guys that sit up and say, well, I'm just looking for Miss Right now. If Miss Right comes along, she came at the wrong time. Never mind. Well, it's similar, except that the difference being that that guy might not be looking to peg Mrs. Right as Miss Right now just so that he could disrespect her or just so that he could hit that and quit that. He may not be trying to go that far. He's just simply looking for Miss Right now, which is bad enough. But with these broads, it's different. They are looking for a reason to not respect even the so-called alphas. They're trying to find that. Chantel Simone recorded and said that women don't respect the good guys. But then Chantel Simone talked about the simps. She did not draw the line in between a guy that's just a good guy and an actual simp. She didn't draw the line. Now, I've told you all, I think that Chantel, so far, I think she means well, but this is a mistake even she made. I was waiting on her to do it. She didn't. Good guy, simp. She kept conflating the two. Those are two different dudes. They ain't the same guy. Of course, the simp generally has to be very, very, very nice, but a good guy is not a simp because he's good. A guy being nice to a lady doesn't mean he has no boundaries. It's just that the ladies look and they see as soon as he's nice, they start to say, well, okay, well, where the hell are the boundaries going to be? So let me start testing him. Okay, but he's still nice. So he's got boundaries, but he's still nice. So I'm going to keep on testing him until he fails. And if he doesn't fail, then I will reinterpret one of his responses as a failing response and then drop him for that. Because in reality, what Chantel Simone did not state, whether she knows this or not, is that they don't, well, she actually said it. She said it in her title. They don't respect good guys. You don't have to actually be a pushover simp. If you are good, they don't respect you. That's war. And therefore, it doesn't matter. The message still remains true because they keep making these decisions that the message is going to be true. And then therefore, David Carroll's decisions don't matter. Therefore, the interloper doesn't matter. Keep this in mind. The message is true because we're not willing to get behind the false message. But if we get behind the message that we know is true, then personalities don't change the truth of the message. Individual personalities don't. We're dealing with a problem of a collective personality of the women from whose wombs we come. And who come from the same wombs that we come. Who raised us. Who help mama raise us, but only on their conditions. And those conditions are that they will control no matter what the outcomes are. Their collective personality is what makes this message of ours important and necessary, not the individual personality of David Carroll. We need to admit this is online stuff. We don't know people personally. I don't know David Carroll personally. I did not know him personally. I listened when I could. But I don't know him personally. We still have to focus on the message of trying to help each other get the hell out. We have to focus on that. We have to focus on the message of trying to well, not even trying to. It's a must. But the message of leaving the Western chicks by themselves, not giving them the option, not even the option of a casual hookup, because they can't even take that option. It's not something that they can do. They're not capable of that. They can't settle for that option for the most part. They might not be able to pair bond, but they still can't. They can't tolerate when you were okay with the casual arrangement. They may be okay with it as long as you're not. But if you're okay with it, then they're not. It's never going to be where you're both just okay with the casual hookup. And so they're going to make you pay one way or another. And if the law won't get behind them to make you pay, then they'll simply find extra legal ways to make you pay one way or another. You pay, you're not going to have that kind of convenience. They will not allow that. I don't even think they can. So we have to focus on what the goals are. Helping Black American men and young boys fit the guck out of what is already a failing state in the first place. Because all it takes right now, from what you all are telling me, all it takes right now is about 2 natural disasters that affect large swaths of the United States and the country implodes. That's what you all are telling me. When I thought I might have to go back to the States, I was afraid of that. You all said, nope, absolutely not. We're not doing that. Don't do that. A lot of you told me, bruh, don't come back to the States. It's bad. And I agree with you. Absolutely, don't come back. Not doing that. And you know what? I'm doing what I have to stay away. I'm working this job so that I don't have to go back stateside. I signed an offer and they can't seem to get through their skulls that this is an internal transfer. That I'm not coming from the States over here because I'm already over here. They can't seem to get that through their thick skulls. I might have to turn them down. Nice offer, but you won't give me the procedure to transfer internally because you keep thinking I'm going to go back to the States, and then you go, no, I'm not doing that. I may have to turn them down for that. Forget the money. You're saying I got to go back to the States to get it. I'm not doing that. F you. Because what happens if I go back stateside and then you change your mind? Nope, not doing that. Bye. Plus, my wife still lives here. No, shuck that fit. I'm trying to help my kids get out of the States. See, it's always something. It would undermine the message. That's what the message is. It's not about just what someone did. If he did it, I don't know. It's not about what the interloper did per se. If you know that she did something that we don't like, then like I said, we chew the meat, we spit out the bones. We should not have been surprised, and we in the Black manosphere were not surprised. And some people want to say that we're just a bunch of hypocrites, when in reality we're willing to understand that this is online. The message is true, but it is proliferating through social media first. So we don't know each other personally all the time, and therefore we're not surprised by what somebody else that we only know online does. Because we're logical, because we're adult males, and therefore we have to be logical. So we're not shocked when a white woman talking red pill talking points goes and sits down with a white nationalist to have an interview. That doesn't shock us. Didn't shock us because she already tried to underestimate the effects and the legacy of slavery. She'll sit up and say stuff about a victim mentality. She's going to be on that white republicanism stuff. Her conservatism is not our conservatism. I kept telling the Black manosphere that. As someone that's been pro-Black before and is authentically pro-Black. Not one of these new wave pro-whack slow tips. My pro-Blackness is not the pro-Blackness of even Dr. Brother Omar Ifatunde Johnson. It's not the same. So it's definitely not going to be the same as the pro-blackness of Courtney Michelle. It's not going to be the same as the pro-blackness of Six the Fraudist. It can't be. It's not possible for that to be, for them to be the same. I am authentically pro-black, and if black women don't want to be authentically pro-black, then fit the guck out our way. Now, I'm able to do that because just on my appearance alone, I used to be told when I was pro-black and I was a lot younger, if I'm not going to be down for our people and fit the guck out our way, they were willing to throw me off to the side, just like they would a white supremacist. And I was like, yeah, but I'm not with them. I don't understand why you keep making the correlation. It took me a while to realize that all it took was just the appearance. That was it. For the few that would say something like this, I mean, it wasn't something I heard all the time, but I was going to hear this every so often. And I did. I was told that. And so now I'm able to sit up and say this to black folks that are willing to hold back other black folks. And that turns out to be the majority of the Western Anglophone diaspora's black women. So I'm willing to say that. I'm actually pro-black. If you choose to hold our people back, screw you too. And because I'm willing to say that to them, then I'm not authentically pro-black enough in their eyes. As far as they're concerned, I'm another interloper because I not forget the appearance by itself. I've also taken on what they think is the Arab religion. No, the Arab religion was to worship idols made out of stone and wood. That's the Arab religion. That's how they see it. That was their religion. That's what they used to call the Arab religion, the religion of the Arabs. Those tribes fought each other like cats and dogs. What did it mean to be an Arab? You spoke the Arabic language and you worshiped these false gods, these idols. And so some of these sisters, if they could see me tell you that Islam is a solution, they would turn around and say this. Oh, here he go with that stuff again. You can look at him and tell he's a spy, a colonizer. No. I have never, ever agreed to the idea of someone not of our race holding authority over us because they don't know how to handle it. Even within the population of the Muslims, I've never been okay with us being under authority of somebody that is not black and Muslim like us. I've always been that way because they don't know how to handle it. And truth be told, in a large swath of Islamic history, they knew it too. And that was why you had more than one caliphate. We're not supposed to. So why did they have one when it came to Africa, it was a necessity. It was not seen as necessary for Spain to have its own caliphate. But when it came to tropical Africa, non-Saharan Africa, then it was seen as necessary to have its own caliphate because a lot of the Muslims knew they weren't going to know how to behave if they were in power over us. And therefore, they didn't say anything about Africa having its own caliphates. So anyway, with that being said, if the message is going to be true, then it doesn't become false simply because of what one person did in private, if he actually did it. Eventually, I will have time to sit down and somebody will send me screenshots of the emails of the DMs, whatever receipts that Crystal and Carrison is supposed to have brought already. I'll have time to look through them and I'll be able to draw a conclusion. But before that day even comes, I'm telling you now that no matter what truth or falsehood her claims have, the message, if it remains true, remains true. And we press forward with it. And we continue to tell these young black boys to take off those mental chains that auntie and grandmama and big sis and older cousin put on their minds. And we continue to tell them that it is not their job to be attack dog and stepdad. We continue to tell them what it is that their sisters really want from them. That we continue to tell them that no, they don't have to be negative stereotypes to actually be men and be treated like men. No, it is not wrong for them to pick subjects of, to be brainy. No, they don't need to be swaggering around and walking on their knuckles to be seen as real men and be shown some respect. No, it's not their job to know how to handle a grown woman. No, it's not okay for a woman to just do whatever the hell they think they can get away with because they think they can get away with it and they women. No, if they're grown, then they're grown. We're still going to press forward with this. And no, it is not even okay for women to sit up and talk about being modern and then look to the men to be traditional. That's not okay by itself. No, it's not okay for them to be feminist and hypergamous. We're going to press forward with this. Doesn't matter what someone did, what an individual did. The truth be told, if I showed my face or I put a real name out there, all kinds of false accusations would fly around about me too. That's one of the reasons I don't. Because as I stated, this is about the message. And if I am completely innocent and I don't do anything to undermine this message in my personal life, but my name or my face gets out there, either way that goes, someone's going to come with a receipt. It will be a false receipt, but they will still come with a receipt and you won't be able to tell the difference. Now, there are some people that have the resources and the time to consistently prove their innocence if it's ever attacked. I'm not one of them. I'm never going to have an abundance of free time and money. Those two are never going to go together in my life as far as I know. I'm saying that pessimistically, and I'm waiting on God to prove me wrong when it comes to that. I'd love to record and say I've been pessimistic, but finally Allah gave me reason to be optimistic when it came to these things. Nope. So far, it's been pretty consistent. I don't have an abundance of free time and money to do that. So what I'm saying is that I'm not one of those guys that can just pay a lot of money to prove innocence when someone puts something out there. People who lie on us are well paid to do so. They get money, they get funding. It doesn't even have to be from a secret organization. Donors will just come out the woodwork because of what they're doing. I put my Cash App in, and if I go live, I might take in anywhere from 140 to 40 US dollars if I go live and put the Cash App in the banner. They are going to get AdSense, Super Chats, Cash App, all of that. If they start attacking us, they're going to get anonymous donations, and those donors are not going to come back later and say, you ain't doxed nobody in 3 months. It's not going to happen. That's where the difference comes in. And that's why it is that we have to focus on the message. It's for that purpose. It is for that reason we must focus on the message. For me, anonymity is what best allows that. Now, you mess around, you try to take advantage of the fact that Ed has his name and his face up on there. You do that, and you're going to have to stand in front of somebody's judge one day. You're going to have to hire a lawyer and stand in front of someone's judge, or you're going to wind up with a default judgment against you. And you're going to start getting garnished checks and garnished wages, and that's going to be the end of that. They will get he's going to get his money out of you if you do that. I don't have, don't necessarily, I have a lawyer, but I don't have a lot of time. And even then, I'd have to come up with more to pay that lawyer. So, with that being said, don't get up. Please don't get caught up in an argument again. Just look at the evidence, make up your mind, and let's proceed forward with the message itself. Because I'm telling you now, if we are easily drug into arguments that distract us from whether or not the message is true itself, then before you know it, people will start making up stuff and generating false receipts and grabbing whatever real receipts they can to keep us embroiled in this so that we can't press forward with the message and tell it to not only young black men, but eventually young black boys. And then we will never get to the business of actually breaking the mental chains that are placed on these young black boys one by one. Remember the goal and the mission. It is to break the chains of young black boys, let alone men, young black boys, even when we are not taking care of them because we are not their fathers. Thank you for listening. Black heart, black mind, blackout, assalamu alaikum, black heterosexual non-select male power because they don't like it in black patriarchy until extinction of judgment day. Thank you again for flying with me on Jet Black Airways, where jet black is also a verb. You know what it is. Keep jetting black with me until the wings and the wheels fall off. Gender, justice, forever.